Very good afternoon, students. Welcome to this English language classes. And I'm Dr. John Peter, Assistant Professor KSOU. Today, we will be dealing with few of the important topics that are prescribed for your studies. Before we go very deep into the subject, let us understand why one has to study English language. English language is a very compulsory paper in your degree level. Unless and until you pass this course, you will not be able to get your degree. So, English language paper is designed in such a way it is useful for all the students, and you need to clear all the English language papers. So, in order to be a master in that particular subject, we should be always having the passion towards the subject. So, there are not many texts prescribed for your studies. There are around 5 short stories or a prose for you, and there is one novel, and which will be dealt with another teacher in the next class. So, I will try my level best to come out with all the 5 proses. So, without wasting much time, let me give some introduction to the language. Language plays a vital role in day-to-day life. In order to be a master towards a subject, one should have the passion. And there is a lots of differences between preparation and study, read and study. What is the difference? You are going to read and you are going to study. You are going to study for the examination and you are going to read for your pleasure. And one should have the passion towards the subject. So, there are 5 short stories or the prose prescribed for your studies first semester. That is O. Henry's Witches' Loves, Nathaniel Hawthorne's Dr. Edgar's Experiment, Joseph Edison's Lady's Address, and Guy de Maupassant The Necklace, and last one is Francis Bacon's Of Studies. So, without much wasting time, let us go very deep into the prose. And when we look into literature, literature is divided into many divisions. There is a prose, there is drama, there is novel, and there are poems or poetry. Each and everything we need to have some knowledge in order to understand a particular text. A student of English language or English literature should have the background to a particular topic or a particular thing which is prescribed. So, there are dramas, there are many authors who have produced masterpieces in English literature. When we talk about Shakespeare, and Shakespeare has written 37 plays, 154 sonnets, and even those are divided into tragedies, romantic comedies and comedies, and prose. And prose is a short story. And here for your studies you have 5 proses. That's what I have told you. And first one, let us go into detailed description about first one, that is Guy de Maupassant The Necklace. Necklace is a popular story and it is written in simple language, and it was published in the same year, in the 1984, and it is written by a French writer, Guy de Maupassant, and it is also one of the famous stories of English literature. And the setting is in Paris, and the point of view is a third-person narration. Many of you might have read it. As I told you, it is very simple in nature and it is quite interesting as well. And most of your short stories are not quite in length. It is very, very short. Maybe about 2 pages or two and a half pages. In order to read that text, you may take around 5 to 10 minutes. My sincere advice is, please read the text first, the primary source. If you are not able to understand, please consult the dictionary, because all these stories are written in simple language. So please go through the text first, then go through the detailed description about the prose. So it was written in 1984 and the setting is in Paris, and it is a third person narration, and it is simple in language, and it is quite interesting. Before we discuss the important aspect of the story, let us go in detail to its plot. The story begins with a girl named Mathilde, and she is a pretty, charming girl, and she is beautiful, and she was born in a poor family. From the beginning, she considered herself as unlucky. Let me read the description what she feels. She feels that she has been born into a family of unfavorable economic status. When we read a particular story, as I told you before, the whole story revolves around a particular incident. Whatever is happening there in whatever has happened in the society is mirrored or written in the form of the stories. When we read a particular text, we come to know what kind of people those were living in those days. When we look here in this particular story, in the beginning of the story, where Mathilde she feels she's the protagonist of the story, around whom the whole story revolves, and she feels that she has been born into a family of unfavorable social status or economic status. That's what she felt. And further, she feels she should have been born to the parents who are socially rich and who had the high social status in the society, whereas her parents belong to the lower sections of the society. That's what she felt. But she is married to M. Loisel. Miss M. Loisel is a clerk in the Ministry of Education. Mathilde feels that life is not so much moving. She always lived in the world of fantasy. She always dreamt of rich life, and she regrets a lot in life and spends endless hours imagining more about extravagant. That means she always feels that her life is always to be always rich, attending so many parties, but whereas her life with M. Loisel turns out to be not promising one. But whereas M. Loisel wanted to see his wife happy always, he receives an invitation of a party organized by Ministry of Education. Ministry of Education. Remember, as I told you before, M. Loisel is a clerk in the Ministry of Education, and they are very poor. Even though he is a clerk, but they belong to the lower sections of the society, and he receives an invitation of a party organized by the Ministry of Education. He thought of taking his wife along with him to the party. Mathilde refuses to attend the party, and she refuses to attend the party. She refuses because in order to attend the party, she doesn't have a proper dress to wear. Remember, the party belongs to the upper class people, organized by the Ministry of Education, where rich people would attend or would take part in the party. So she refuses to come to the party, and Miss M. Loisel tells her that with 400 francs he would buy her a good cloth. Remember, he is a clerk. he was saving in the other part. He was saving money as well as, and he was saving. His saving was around 400 francs, and with that 400 francs, he wanted to buy a rifle so that he would go along with his friends for hunting. But with that money, he purchases new dress for his wife. But still, young Loisel could not see happiness on his wife's face. She wanted jewelry to wear so that she may look prettier. Young Loisel suggests her to go to her friend named Madame Forrester to borrow some jewels from her. And when she approaches her friend displays a variety of jewels on the bed, and she notices it very carefully. Finally, her gaze fell on a diamond-looking necklace. After wearing it, she feels literally happy. Now she is going to attend the party by wearing this necklace. Just let me stop here for a moment. Just imagine what kind of society that was there in those days. Wherever or whenever you go to a party, you should be well dressed, neatly dressed, so that you will be equally matched with upper class society. The wife of a clerk, in order to attend the party, she had to borrow necklace from her friend and new clothes from her husband. And particularly, this necklace matches with her beauty. Many guests prized her beauty, and the party turned out to be the fantastic one. But remember, this happiness doesn't last for a long time. As soon as the party gets over, she was returning home, and then she notices her necklace missing. Remember, necklace, she has borrowed it from her friend. After the party, she notices that her necklace is missing. Young Loisel started searching for the lost necklace. Even he lodged a complaint in the police station. But do we think the lost thing can be found again? That is the $1,000,000 question. That too, the diamond necklace. That's what she felt. How can they accept the fact that they have lost the necklace? Is it the end of their life? That is the question. In order to meet day-to-day life, they had to struggle a lot. Now they have lost the diamond necklace borrowed from their friend, family friend. They had to replace it, and they have to replace it. Now a uphill task lies in front of them. Now the question arises in their mind, how will they face Madame Forrester? They felt ashamed of their lives. They thought and came to the conclusion. Every question every problem has a solution. Every question has an answer. And they thought for a moment and came to a conclusion that they would buy a new necklace which would cost around 40,000 francs. Remember, it is a very huge money for them. One fact that one should remember, that young Loisel's life earning comes around 18,000 francs. How can he meet the challenges of his life? He is going to borrow money from his friends, relatives, and he is going to take loan from his friends. Finally, when the 40,000 francs is ready, they purchased a new necklace and gave it to Madame Forrester. Finally, they washed their humiliation. Finally, they have washed this one, and they wanted to just lead the life, but the question here is they have to struggle a lot. Present, they have to they have to save money in order to pay back the loan or the borrowed money. At present, they have saved themselves from humiliation, but they have to struggle a lot in the years to come. They had to repay the borrowed money. So they dismissed their housemaid, and Mathilda, she has to take up the responsibility of the house, and she has to work day and night, and she has to do a lot of homework, that is housework. And M. Loistel, that is, he has taken up a job of accounting and document copying in night. For many years, this kind of life continued. Look at the struggle. And for many years, this struggle continued. They struggled a lot in life, but in order to meet the happiness in the future life, they had to struggle, because they had to repay the borrowed amount in order to purchase that necklace. As the years passed by, and Mathilde, that she has to work hard, and she notices that her beauty started diminishing or fading. And remember, in the party she was praised a lot by the guests because of her beauty. Now she notices that her beauty is fading away. This struggle continued for 10 long years, and working is day and night. During the day, young Loistel, and he has to go to the office as a clerk, and during the night he had to work in the office of document copying and accounting. This struggle continued for 10 long years. Finally, they repaid the loan. One Sunday, while she was out for a walk along with the husband, Mathilde spots Madame Forrester, and she feels emotional, and she approaches her and offers greetings, and Madame Fortier doesn't recognize her. Recognize her because she has become very pale, and now the real story is told to Madame Fortier, and finally she tells her that this is only the artificial necklace which I have given you 10 years ago. Now she feels regretted for her life, and we are not given any information whether the diamond necklace is given to M. Loisel or something. The story ends here. In order to meet the challenges of life, one has to work hard, but their struggle continued for 10 long years. So this is about necklace. So let us go back to another story, that is Ho Henry's Witch's Laws. And this is also a beautiful story which talks about a man, a customer who comes to the bakery, Before I go very detailed into this story, let me tell you a few sentences or a few things about O. Henry. O. Henry is an American short story writer. Most of his stories deal with suspicion or wit and humor. Most of his stories are set in his own time and home city named New York, with ordinary people as the main characters. Some of his famous stories are The Gift of Maggie, the last Leave, After 20 Years, Witches' Laws. Today, we are going to study about witches' laws. The story Witches' Laws really has nothing to do with actual witches. The title only becomes understandable when you recognize the subtle theme addressed by this narrative. The key theme of the story is making assumption or guess based on minimal information and acting on those assumptions which may not be correct at all. So if you act according to your guesses, so at the end it turns out to be a disastrous one. So let us look into the main characters here. Main characters are Miss Martha. She is having a bakery, or she runs a small bakery, and Blumberg, and is the customer of the bakery, is a middle-aged man. Miss Martha, the protagonist in the story. Who is the protagonist? Protagonist is the main hero or heroine of the story, around whom the story revolves. Around whom the story revolves. Miss Martha, the protagonist of the story, owns a small bakery. She is also middle-aged and single. Remember, that's what she is addressed as, Miss Martha. When a man with German accent comes in 2 or 3 times in a week, Martha begins to notice him. A middle-aged man who has a French accent comes to her bakery, is a regular customer to the bakery, and she started noticing him. Strangely, he always asks for 2 loaves of stale bread. Fresh bread was 5 cents in a loaf, for a loaf, and for the stale bread, that is, was only 2 rupees or something. So he doesn't ask the fresh one. He doesn't ask the fresh one, but he asks the stale one. So every day he comes there and asks only for that stale bread. So Martha feels so pity on him, and she thinks that he belongs to a class where he is a painter or he is an artist. And one day she notices 2 marks of paint on his finger, and she comes to the conclusion that and he is an artist and who stays in the place where he paints. So this is how she begins to notice. She begins to notice him coming to the bakery thrice a week. He comes there and purchases. So she shows some pity on him, and when the other day when he comes there, she wanted to give him that bread with butter. Let me read few lines here. He kept the burger that is stale bread, and he never wanted to buy a cake, or he never wanted to buy a pie, or he never wanted to buy a delicious things available there. And for Martha, she feels that he is the poor man and he doesn't have money to buy. That's what he comes. That's why he comes every thrice a week to buy the stale bread. So she adds butter to that bread and gives him, and he takes home, and now here, and she feels that lots of questions that come to her mind, whether that person has opened, whether he has eaten, all these things. So after many questions passing through her mind, she could hear the doorbell ring. Doorbell ring. So she rushed to the front door and she opens the door, and she could see two men hurrying to the front door, and two men were there. One is the regular customer, and another man was a young man smoking a pipe, whom she has never seen in her life before. Miss Martha was confused. The young man tells about Blumberberg, that is, he is an architectural draftsman. Both worked in the same office. He has been working hard for 3 months drawing a plan for new city hall. It was a prize-winning competition. He finished inking the lines yesterday. A draftsman always makes drawing in pencil first, then once if it is done, it is rubbed off with an eraser. And he also feels that with that stale bread, he used to rub off the pencil sketches. That's why he has come here. He comes here thrice a week to buy that stale bread. Now you have added butter to that bread. Now the whole drawing got spoiled. And Martha feels ashamed of her life, and she goes into a room and she throws her rich clothes she used to wear. Maybe she was trying to impress that customer. She begins to make the bread. The man never comes back to buy that stale bread again. So this particular story, these two stories which we have discussed, is very simple in nature. Another 3 more stories. Please go through the stories first. You will understand it is written in simple language. 2 stories which I have described to you. One is necklace and one is witch's laws. How you need to prepare for the examination. Next topic. And so by reading these stories, can I be able to score good marks? In order to score good marks, one should have the passion towards reading. Reading and writing, lots of differences. You read for your pleasure, you study for your examination. And questions are going to be set in simple in nature, where answer only what the question is asked. There are 2 ways of answer. There is a quality. We as an evaluator, I tell you, an evaluator will expect the quality answer, not the quantity one. Answer what the question is asked. Even if you write a half a page or something, straight answer we expect. Read through all the stories first. You will understand it well. Then you will be able to answer it clearly. It is for 80 marks, where it is for 20 marks your grammar and 20 marks for your annotations, and answer the following questions for 60 marks or something. So answer all these questions, and hope you have understood the class. Please go through the texts first, the necklace and witch's laws, and rest of the stories please go through, and it's very simple in nature. you will be able to understand. Thank you, students.